John, stress everywhere.
Rob, it seems to be our favourite topic when we turn up, but it's the nature of the world. I think it's a problem of modernity itself. And right now I would say out on the dairy farm, it would be hitting peak levels that people have probably not faced for many years. And there's a number of contributing factors to that, of course. I mean, they're starting from what was a very good base, and then it's rapidly gone down, and then people possibly thought that was going to last a little longer than they did and may not have financially set themselves properly for that, and now they're looking the bank manager in the eye and they find that what was all smiles last year tends to have turned to a bit of a grimace or even a growl. And so people are looking at uncertainty, and uncertainty is singularly our biggest cause of stress. It's a funny thing that, I mean, it's like the person who goes away for the blood test for the potentially nasty disease, right? They almost feel better when they hear bad news than they did before they were waiting for the news, because uncertainty, and once you know what the bad news is, at least you know what you're dealing with. Whereas uncertainty creates this sense of potential danger, and it's primitive. It goes right back to when we were wandering a savanna plain somewhere through the scrub and amongst the big rocks, and we're wondering what's just around the corner.
And this is what makes people go quiet, and they sweep it under the carpet because they don't want to know.
Well, stress, if the neurotransmitters, you know, the neurology involved in stress runs long enough, it moves into other morbid states, and particularly it can move into depression, and that's the thing you've got to watch for. And depression shows up as sleeplessness, low libido, incommunicative, or if you're communicating, anger, and when it gets to its worst state, it's almost a disengagement, you know, and that's what you've really got to watch for, because the person is totally in their own head there, and all they're doing is mulling over disaster.
And that leads to all sorts of things which can be fatal.
Well, it's why I think, you know, it's why at times we see a sudden peak in rural suicides, and it's a tragedy. Because in the end, of course, what people sometimes forget is they're sitting on pretty sizable assets, and you know, if worse came to worse, they'd still be fairly well off if they simply cashed up and got out, in a lot of them.
But they can't see that.
But they can't see that, because the nature, of course, of it is we catastrophize, and we get narrow and narrow and narrow in our vision. And that's where friends and family can come in, and support services can come in and be of real value, life-saving value.
See, to me, you don't talk about it, you hide it, so your best bet is to actually talk to someone who's totally apolitical, like yourself.
Yep.
or a GP.
Yep, you can't talk to your doctor, can't talk to...
Because that's all in confidence, isn't it? That's...
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and you can say, look, man, I made some of the worst financial decisions I've ever made. You know, I'm almost trading insolvent. You can even say I am trading insolvent, and I suspect there is no legal obligation for anyone in the health sector to go and tell any regulator. In fact, I'm sure there's not. It's not their job, it's not their area. But if you need to talk to a person about it who you know can be completely empathetic and provide an objectivity to it, they're the person. Plus practical support. I mean, you know, if you come and talk to someone like me, you'll no doubt have serious aches and pains and poor sleep and all those other things, many of which you can intervene with. Your GP also will have some tricks of the trade that they can intervene with, and also refer you to support services and get some help.
And once again, they're totally apolitical. You've got
Totally
no problem at all talking to somebody who's there to, in many cases, to train you, to train your mind.
Yeah, and often to get you and go, listen, look over here. There's actually quite a bit over here. Look here, this is your family. There's some really good stuff going on here. These are the people to talk to as well. But I still think support services amongst friends is some of the strongest, and amongst family. So if you've got a neighbour and you know he's in a bit of grief, you know, you may not be able to help him out much, but go and have a chat. Pull him in and have a beer. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes if someone just unburdens, and then you can also, you can say, look, hell, I remember the drought of '85, or
I remember we got through that one.
Yeah, I remember when interest rates, right,
with 22%.
Well, getting close to triple figures, you know. I mean, so, and invariably the rural sector pulls through, because we're still sitting on big assets, and the one thing we can rely on, right, is the world's getting wealthier and the world's getting hungrier.
Yeah,
so there'll always be, in the end, a market.
On a personal note, I mean, I've been through depression and it was pretty serious. I'm now talking about it to people.
Yep.
And I would suggest that the majority of people I speak to said, yeah, I've had depression. Not nice down there, is it?
No, I think, look, there's not a person out there who doesn't feel low at times, right? If they do, they're either weird or lying, one or the other, right? If they tell you that. And so to feel flat is a normal state or a normal part of our process of living, right? When it gets down to a deep depression, right, you're still joining a very, very large cohort of the population, right? So it's not an unusual condition, tragically. But it is one that most of us recover from and recover from completely and do fine. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep, and I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
Now, winter's not helping.
No, winter doesn't help because we also get the impact of season. We have a problem called seasonal affective disorder. You know, people walk around with sunglasses up here.
Yeah.
In winter, that's the only place to have them. You've got to get light through your eyes to build melatonin levels. And if you don't build melatonin levels, you don't sleep. So that's the other thing, is we tend to sort of hover in our caves a bit, you know, whether you're in a workshop sharpening chisels or whatever. You're better off out getting a bit of sun, that helps. And you need to get sun on your skin because there's no better way to make vitamin D. You can take it as cod liver oil, that's another way of getting it, cheap and effective. But nothing beats sun on your skin. So if it's a relatively hot day, strip down to your undies and dance between the hay bales. You know?
The mental picture of some of the farmers I know.
No, there's no doubt about it. Fred's lost it.
But make sure all the children are at school for
Yeah.
Don't do it at the weekends.
Yeah.
So winter is basically a good time if you can justify, well, if you can afford it, get the hell out of here, go to the islands or somewhere.
Yeah. This is the time of year to go off and help the Rarotongan economy. Yeah, it's definitely. It's more towards late winter that seasonal affective disorder really kicks in. So it gets worse around August.
Which is calving.
Which is
and
calming and lambing, yes. So maybe July, you know, that a boost just before that, even a week away, is enough to sort of get you up and going, recharge the batteries and get you running.
You once told me that you need a fortnight because you need a week to heal, and then sorry, it was basically a week to get over it and then a week to sort of get a buffer.
Yeah, I'm talking to the farmer who goes, I can't afford 2 weeks. I go, right, we'll do one then.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would agree. The best holiday is 2 weeks.
And if you've already got a $3 million mortgage, what's another couple of $1,000?
You'll think better. You will make sharper, more efficient, economic, better decisions. Yeah. So people sit there, oh, I can't afford it. I don't think you can afford not to do it. You don't say, oh, I can't afford to put oil in the tractor. You sit there and go, $80,000 tractor, $20,000 engine repair.
Another John O'Malley quote was, well, if you don't want to go on holiday, you don't want to help yourself, I'm not going to help you. And you said, you don't ring me again for another appointment.
I have done that. But I'm very cautious about doing that because I only do it with people I know it'll work. I don't want the person to go, and that's the last bugger to let me down and then do something serious. But, you know, sometimes there is nothing other people can do except for perhaps prop you up to send you on away. And, you know, and so even the winterless north is probably not a bad spot for a holiday this time of year.
John, thank you very much indeed.